So I welcome you all to the 2 days workshop on AI Summit in association with AI Impact Summit and Inspira Enterprise. Now I'm privileged to invite our distinguished guest, Swetha ma'am. Swetha Srivastava ma'am is practice head, data analytics and AI at Inspira Enterprises. Swetha Srivastava has been appointed as practice head, data analytics and AI at Inspira Enterprise, a global cybersecurity, data analytics and artificial intelligence provider. In this leadership role, she is responsible for shaping and executing the company's strategy in data analytics and AI, including innovation delivery and global expansion of the services. She is based in the company's Hyderabad office and his experience over 23 years of IT industry multiple sectors such as life sciences, financial services, airlines, and e commerce, and significant expertise in delivery management, analytics, transformation, and technology leadership. Before joining Inspira Enterprise, she held senior leadership roles at Capgemini, Accenture, and Infosys Technologies, where she led enterprise wide analytics and AI initiatives and transformation programs. At Inspira, Shweta ma'am leads the data and AI practice, focusing on leverage, advancing analytics, AI technologies, and data driven solutions to help organizations improve competitive advantage and operational outcomes. Her appointment also reflects Inspira's commitment to enhancing gender diversity in AI and cybersecurity leadership, an industry area where women are underrepresented. And Shweta ma'am has started that she is excited to lead this dynamic practice at a time when AI is reshaping industries and aims to help clients use data and AI for innovation, growth, and competitive differentiation. So now I welcome Shweta ma'am to address the gathering.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jaya ma'am. You're able to hear me okay? Am I audible?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
You can see me on video as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you so much for the introduction. It was a long introduction, and yeah, thank you so much for that. Um, I cannot see the participants very well. Is the first row left empty for somebody, or people can move forward?
Yes.
It'll be good if people come forward into the front seats as well, so that we can have better interaction.
Yes, ma'am. We will do, ma'am.
Okay, sure. All right, I think we will begin while the arrangement is made. Thank you for the one volunteer who's moved forward to the first seat. Okay. So, like Jaya ma'am introduced, I've been working in the IT industry for 24 years now. I've done everything that you can think of. I've started my journey as a mainframes developer and then, done various roles. I did Unix scripting, I did business analysis, I did pre-sales roles, project management. Then I moved into AI. I've been working in AI and analytics for the last 10 years. And, I've done some hands on roles. I played the role of an architect for a few projects. Right now, I'm leading the AI and analytics practices at Inspira. Okay. So, today, what I wanted to talk to you all about is, um, in general about AI, where we are today, what is happening in the world, um, and if you all are interested in AI, what is in it for you, right? We can touch upon any other topics related to AI. If you want to ask questions, I'm here to answer. Okay, so are we good to begin? Jaya ma'am, until what time? Um, like, what is our end time? How much time do we have? Do we have like 1 hour?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes.
Okay, sure. All right, so I'll share my screen. I'll present my screen and then we can begin from there. Is it visible to you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So it's for all of you. I think my understanding is that the audience is all, engineering students. So we just want to explore the topic of AI for all of you. That is what we'll do today. Okay. And I thought it will be to us. We'll try to, I think we should be able to do in 1 hour. It really depends on how interactive you all are. How many questions do you have on this topic? Um, if you all are quiet, then we can finish it in an hour. But yeah, if you want to know more, then I'm here to discuss. Okay. So we'll start with a simple question. Anybody from the audience probably, can help answer this question. While I'm presenting, I'm not able to see you all. Um, okay, I can only be on one screen. Okay. Yeah. Does anybody wants to answer what best describes artificial intelligence? Is it computers that store information, machines that mimic human intelligence, software that runs only on the internet, or robots that look like humans? What do you think is the right answer for this question?
Computers
Anyone?
and
Computers and
machines, ma'am.
machines. Computers and machines? Okay, computers that store information are any general computers, right? I mean, they don't necessarily have to be artificial intelligence. So, but yeah, you're right. The right answer is machines that mimic human intelligence. That is what artificial intelligence is all about. We want to achieve as close to human intelligence as possible. We want machines to take the work of humans, right? Today, I'm doing something, I'm doing some accounting, I'm doing some reconciliation of some numbers. I want the machine to do it. So that if the machine has artificial intelligence, I mean, if it has intelligence, it will be able to execute that task. Okay. So this briefly, and interestingly, I don't know if you all know, AI is nothing new, right? It's been around since the 1950s. Can you believe it? Even before any of us was born, probably, right? Like long ago. 1950s saw the birth of what we call as artificial intelligence, and that was in 1956. The term artificial intelligence came into being first time. Yeah, so all the while the concept existed, right? That was the first time at a conference, at the Dartmouth conference. The discussion happened about how can we teach machines to do some work, right? And that's when the term artificial intelligence got coined. And I'm sure all you youngsters have, you use AI day in, day out, I'm sure. But yeah, after 1950s, 1960s, then came the expert systems era. So in 1950s and 60s, basically it was rule based. If this happens, then do this, right? Like if A, then take action B, and so on, right? Um, or something like if you see the color red, then type out stop. So it was more like a rule based system. When we came into expert systems, here came the domain knowledge as well, right? And very interesting to note that it was as back as 1970s 80s that we had systems, for example in the domain of medicines or in the domain of chemicals, where domain knowledge, basically there is a huge you can think of it as a huge repository of domain knowledge, like if these symptoms exist, then what could be the disease, right? So there'll be a huge repository of medical knowledge about symptoms and their descriptions and their correlation with diseases, etc. So there were systems which were still rule based, but also had some domain knowledge. So those were called as expert systems. I mean, that era we call as the expert systems era. And then came the reign of data. So we started, again, very interestingly, in 1997, IBM Deep Blue it defeated the chess champion, right? First time a computer application could defeat a human chess champion. That was the time. And then came the era of big data. All of us would have heard of big data, cloud computing. Now, no more data. Every day, every day, even you all generate so much data, right? Every day you're using Facebook or WhatsApp, or you're making some payments via Paytm and so on. So you are generating so much of data. So, in the 2000s, early 2000, 2010, etc., came the big data revolution, where um, there were systems which could consume large amounts of data and make sense out of it. Like Netflix recommendation systems, Google search optimization, all of these were applications which took shape during this time. Then came in deep learning, right? We will speak a little bit more about deep learning going forward. But yeah, this was the breakthrough of deep learning when, through the application of deep learning, things like understanding natural language, human language became possible for machines. Understanding images became possible for machines. So, for example, if I give an image of the conference room now to the computer, it knows it's a conference room, it has chairs which are blue in color, it has some people sitting, and so on, right? It is able to identify objects, and all of this has become possible through deep learning. And then came the generative AI era, right? ChatGPT. All of you must have used ChatGPT. Is there anybody in the audience who has not used ChatGPT so far? Yeah, nobody, right? So why did ChatGPT become so famous? Why do you think it was such a huge success? Like I told you, AI existed since 1950s, right? So what suddenly um, became so different that ChatGPT became so huge? Why did Gen AI become so huge today? Any ideas? Why do you think this happened? Any thoughts? Any examples?
Maybe to find the answers for all the questions, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. So finally, the power of AI came into general public's hands, right? Earlier, AI was a obscure concept in some machines used by some data scientists or AI engineers, or some businesses. So with ChatGPT, people could see the power of AI. I'm asking any question, it is able to respond. Even before ChatGPT came into picture, they were Alexa, Siri, etc. Right? But they were not as smart, right? They were able to answer some general questions. They're able to play music or set reminders or do certain tasks. But with ChatGPT, things have changed, and that's because of the transformer technology that came into being. So, in the current era, three things have come together to make it such a huge success and so popular, right? One is compute power. In the early 50s, even compute power was a constraint. Today, we have GPUs, we have CPUs, or whatever processing units that you need to train huge models, right? Like GPT model is huge. It has millions of parameters, trained on millions of parameters. It takes huge computing power. So compute power today is not a constraint. Second is data is not a constraint. There are now holding data has become cheaper, and data, of course, then has become more valuable. So compute has become cheaper and available, data has become available, and the third thing is the models have evolved. Like I was talking about the transformer model, the technology has evolved. So the combination of all these three today is an application like ChatGPT that we see today, right? So going back to the presentation. So again, a general knowledge question. Who coined the term artificial intelligence? Have you come across these names anywhere? Alan Turing. I don't know if you've heard of something called Turing test. It was like the first framework that ever existed to test AI, right? John McCarthy, Carl Babbage, and Geoffrey Hinton. Any guesses? You could say A, B, C, or D.
B.
B? Yeah, B is the right answer. It is John McCarthy, and this happened in the Dartmouth conference that I was referring to. Sorry, you were saying something else? Okay. So yeah, so we already spoke a little bit about deep learning, but just wanted to tell you the meaning of artificial intelligence, like it broadly means, trying to mimic human intelligence. There could be various things that fall under artificial intelligence. And within artificial intelligence is what we call as machine learning. Machine learning is nothing but, you know, there are algorithms to which you will feed huge amounts of data, and then those algorithms, I mean, then they learn looking at the data, right? For example, uh, I say, okay, if the, what example can I give? Okay, if it is fraud or not fraud, right? I mean, um, if I get an email, is it a spam email or not a spam email? Most common example, right? So if I get an email, I will train the model with thousands of examples. I'll give, okay, this is the email, it is spam, this is the email, it is not spam. I'm not telling anything else. I'm just giving the text and I'm marking it as spam or not spam. Now, what happens is the algorithm runs, it identifies the patterns of data. Okay, what is really, and the more training data you give, the better it might learn. Again, there are exceptions to this rule, but still. So how does it identify? Whenever there is a sense of urgency that is introduced in the text, hey, reply immediately or transfer some amount. So it's somewhere it will try to identify words and patterns of text, uh, or some things that are regularly occurring, some features which are helping the model to classify it as spam or not spam, right? Similarly, a newspaper article, I give some text and I ask it to classify, is it news related to sports or education or politics or business? Um, and how does the machine learn, right? You give lots of examples. You give lots of examples of politics related news, lots of examples of business related news, education related news, and so on. So with it'll find patterns of data, right? It'll with so many examples, it is able to understand, okay, when this kind of text comes, then it is education, and so on. So that's the concept of machine learning. And within machine learning is what we call as deep learning. And today, whatever breakthroughs we are seeing today, chat GPT, you all have heard of Tesla Autopilot, right? Very successful, Mid Journey, and so on. All the different applications and foundation models or LLMs, or all the things that you're hearing today, they are all applications of. So, do you learn about AI or computers in your course? Does your course cover these topics?
Yeah, yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So you all have learned about deep learning. Was that part of your curriculum? No.
No,
Okay, no, don't worry. I'm not going to ask you questions on deep learning, even if you say yes. But yeah, so deep learning basically refers to the concept where an input is given, it is taken through multiple layers. We call it neural networks. Yeah, it goes through multiple neural networks and an output comes out, right? So through each layer, it will learn something new about the data. So let me give you an example. As a human, if I'm walking on the road, um, I look at a car number plate, right? The registration number of a car. I know it's the car number plate, right? I can see TS09AZ1234, whatever. I know that it's a car license plate. How do I know it? Who has told me that it is, the number plate of the vehicle? I have learned it. I have learned to recognize how a number plate looks, you know, through seeing it so many times, right? I mean, I've seen it so many times. I know, okay, this is a car, and on this part of the car the number plate comes. I know the pattern, right? I've studied the pattern, and I don't have to sit and learn it as a subject using a textbook or notebook. These are things that our human brain learns through seeing, right? When I look at a tree, I know it's a tree. How do I know it's a tree? There is a trunk, there are some leaves. Even if the leaves are not there, it's winter, all the leaves have fallen, I still know it's a tree. I've seen it through my brain processes that information through all my experience, or all the trees that I have seen throughout my life. So deep learning is something like that, right? Through learning through lots of data, lots of examples, the model is able to identify the pattern and then recognize the images accordingly. So next time you give an image of a tree, the model knows it's a tree. Okay. So I think a very obvious question, but neural networks are inspired by which biological system, which part of the human body? Is it the human brain, DNA structure, ant colonies, or circulatory system? What biological system inspires the concept of neural networks?
Human brain.
Human brain, yeah, human brain. And the words that we use are also like that only. It's neural networks, there are neurons, there are tendons, and exactly the same structure. So, okay. Okay, now this is a concept that's interesting to know. So I don't know if you all have heard of artificial superintelligence, artificial general intelligence, artificial narrow intelligence, self-aware artificial intelligence. So what type of AI are we using today? Say for example, ChatGPT. What type of AI is it? Is it superintelligence, general intelligence, narrow intelligence, or self-aware artificial intelligence?
Chapana.
Sorry, I could not hear you.
D. D.
D, self-aware you mean? Yeah, is that any other answers? What type of AI are we using today?
Maybe C, ma'am.
C? Okay. So C is the right answer. So what exists today is artificial narrow intelligence. What that really means is the intelligence comes from the data it has been trained on, right? So it is narrow in that sense. It is limited to the scope of what the model has learned, right? Today, if I train a model to recognize, to be able to classify newspaper articles, that's all it will be able to do. If though ChatGPT seems that it has endless scope, that it has a lot of intelligence, not just a specific topic, it can answer questions on any topic, it is because of the data that it has been trained. It has literally been trained on all the data that's available on the internet, right? I mean, like it has been trained on, like I said, billions of parameters and huge amounts of text, etc. Through all of that, again, using neural networks, using deep learning, it has learned. It seems that it understands English, right, or human language, but essentially it's all you know numbers, right, behind the scene. Its intelligence is only bound to the scope of what it has learned. The concept of artificial general intelligence, I think it's still a research topic. It's not yet in existence. When a computer reaches artificial general intelligence, it means that it has reached the intelligence of the human brain, right? So just like our knowledge is not limited to what we have only learned in college, right? I mean, a human brain, even if it's a completely new scenario, completely new situation, we can perceive and understand what's happening better. Like, for example, I'm seeing a new species of animal. I know that, okay, it's a new species or it's not a dog or whatever, but a model might try to fit it into one of the different species of animals it has learned, or it may not even know that it's an animal because it has never seen the images of that particular species of animal, right? So artificial general intelligence, when we say that the machine has achieved AGI, it means that it has become equivalent to a human. And thankfully, that is not the reality today. Okay, we are still in research stage. I don't know. At least I cannot perceive, if it is possible to achieve AGI, but research is ongoing. Artificial superintelligence now is the next level, right? We are saying this is the status where a machine surpasses human intelligence, right? And God forbid we do not see that era, right? And self aware artificial intelligence is also like artificial superintelligence, but beyond that, we are also saying that the machine will then have emotions or then, is perceptive to emotions and other senses, right? So Yeah, I'm happy that we are today in artificial narrow intelligence. I do not even want us to reach AGI. Yeah, but that's the situation. Any thoughts or any questions on what we just discussed? Let me just ask you all a question. What is the best example of AI that you have seen? The most exciting or the most amazing thing that you have seen about AI so far?
Home automation.
Home automation? Yeah, yeah. So, all right. Yeah. Um, yeah, and we want it to be there, right? We don't want the home automation to take over us and ulta give us tasks to do or kind of control us. We want it to do what we don't want to do, all the routine and mundane tasks that we do not want to do. I don't want to get up to turn on the geyser. Yeah, that kind of home automation is great. Okay, so yeah, this is just what I just said. So this is the current reality, artificial narrow intelligence. This is where we are. It specializes in what it is taught to do. Artificial general intelligence is not a reality yet, and artificial super intelligence is really speculative at the moment. I do not even think we are at a research stage or anywhere close to knowing what could be the possible path to achieving artificial super intelligence. I mean, if something has to become more intelligent than humans itself, then I don't know how humans would even create it. Okay, um, yeah, moving on. So when I work with our organization, I mean with multiple clients, right, in different industries, we work with banks, we work with educational institutions, with oil, like energy distribution companies, oil and gas production. I mean, you name it, we do it. Like across industries when we do even pharmaceutical, life sciences, right? So when we work with all of these clients in trying to help them in using AI for their business, what we see is that the maturity level, even today, even with the technology existing, even with the three things coming together, like I said, compute becoming available, data not being a problem, there's so much data in the world that is already there, and even in each organization, and the technology existing, even with these three things and the technology being ready, we see that most of the organizations are 75% of the organizations are here. What are they doing there? They're just aware of AI, they're exploring, they're doing proofs of concepts, or they're doing pilot projects. Yeah, they're not really using AI for transforming their business yet. These could even be, the pilot projects in organizations could be like your academic projects. You're trying to uh, probably see if what is the density of smoke in a particular area if the chimney is at point A, what is the density of smoke in point B, or what particles can we expect. You create an AI model to design that, right? I mean, so it's like your academic projects. They are doing standalone pilots. 20% of the organizations we see have started using, I mean, it's like operational use of AI, right? So when we say core processes, these are processes like HR, finance, procurement. In one of their operational processes, they have begun using AI. It is integrated into their application, into their ecosystem of applications. So AI talks to their business applications and it is delivering some output for them. So yet still smaller number, 4% of the organizations we see today have multiple AI initiatives. So they are focused on AI. They want to use AI and they want to be able to measure what is the impact of AI, what is the return on their investment they're putting into AI. Very few, right? Like just 4% of the organizations we see today have AI initiatives. And yet a smaller number, 1% of the organizations use AI as a transformational technology. Yeah. So today, there are words such as AI first or AI native companies, right? So they start everything. I mean, any of the newer companies, some of the newer companies, if you see, if they have that kind of a vision, everything in their organization is driven through AI. Have you heard of any AI first companies? Have you all come across any company which is like AI first, or what we even may call AI native? I don't know if you all have heard the concept of digital banks, right? Nowadays, there are digital banks which have come up. Um, they don't have real branches, like physical branches or anything. Everything is like digital, like digital payments bank, right? Like even possibly Paytm kind of ones. I wouldn't say like everything is AI, but yeah, there are. I came across a bank in the Middle East which has all of their processes built on AI, like 100% automated. They have minimal staff. Even customer service representatives are all AI agents, right? Their bank back office operations are all AI agents. So it's all AI doing most of their work. There are quite some examples. If you search on Google, you'll come across many AI first organizations, which is still just 1%. Yeah, so that's the AI maturity level today. So there is huge scope and huge opportunity for companies to use AI for transforming their business. Okay, and just wanted to, I mean, this is more just for your awareness. So, what are the things that an enterprise needs to do, an organization needs to do to be able to get full value out of AI? So, basically, first of all, they need to have a strategy, they need to have a vision, they need to have talent, they need to have people who understand AI. If not build, at least use AI, right? They need an AI literate workforce. So, this is an initiative that we are running even in Inspira. We are trying to make our entire organization AI literate. So, Inspira, if you all know about it, or you would have heard from Subhash sir earlier in the day, is an organization which is very strong in cybersecurity. We also have AI and analytics practices, which is what I lead at Inspira, right? So, but many of our workforce, like our HR, we have our learning and development, we have our finance team, our procurement team, we have our operations teams, and so on, right? Even many of our cybersecurity teams, not everybody uses AI so far, right? So we have an initiative going on in our organization also to make our entire workforce AI literate. In fact, we are shortly going to the program has already been launched, and shortly we are going to encourage people to build AI agents for the work that they are doing today, right? So um, as a commercial team person, if I have to, my job is to ensure that vendor payments are made. Now I want to see how I want to automate it. Like, can I create an AI agent which will do some part of the work for me, which is basically validate, vendor submits an invoice, I want to validate it against the contract that we have with the vendor. If the invoice that he submitted is valid or not, if it is, within the allowed limit, and so on, and then automatically approve for the next step. So I can build an AI agent to do that, because it's possible to teach the machine to be able to accomplish that. Yeah. So data and infrastructure, they need the technology stack to run AI. Ethics and governance, very important part. Um, how, like, it's basically the first thought that should come also when we plan to build an AI system, right? Like, how are we going to use it? How are we, what we call as responsible AI or explainable AI? You would have heard these terms if AI is part of your curriculum. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, how do we use AI responsibly? How do we know that AI is doing its job correctly? It is not biased. It is giving the correct result, right? And whatever result it is giving, I know why it is giving that output. For example, going back to the newspaper article classification, if it has classified something as education, I should know why it has classified it as education, right? Something the AI would have thought of, right, when it did that. I want to be able to see its thought process in that sense, right? And organization should also be able to measure and get the return on it, their investment on AI. It's not cheap to build AI systems, especially agentic AI. I don't think I have planned to cover agentic AI in this on this presentation, but yeah, probably we can talk about it a little bit. Okay. So another question: what term describes when AI confidently gives incorrect information? You ask a question, it will confidently give you an answer, but that answer is incorrect. What term do we use uh, to explain this situation. So, what do we say? Is it overfitting? Is it glitching? Is it bias? Or is it hallucination? Any ideas? Any guesses? If even if you don't know, you can still guess.
Glitching.
Glitching? Glitching sounds like can be the right answer, but it is not. Like glitch is typically a technology glitch, we say, right? Okay, something went wrong, some bug kind of a thing. The actual word is hallucination. It's the English word of, hallucinating. You don't know what you're doing. I mean, you're giving some wrong answer. So it's the actual term that is used to describe, and this is specifically used in the context of generative AI, right? When the AI hallucinates and gives incorrect information, and it gives confidently. It even doesn't say I don't know, I may be wrong or anything. It will say it is this, whereas it is the wrong answer. And this happens because it is trained on wrong data in the first place. Like, for example, and that's the reason we cannot believe anything that you search on the internet, right? Because even ChatGPT or GenAI or whatever, they are uh, responding based on all the things that they have learned from all the text that has been given as input while training the model. So if there itself there is incorrect information, then it will give out that incorrect information. So hallucination is the term that describes when AI confidently gives incorrect information. Okay. Uh, any questions? Is this making sense to you all? Should we continue? You had some other expectations of this session. Just want to ask you at this point of time.
Yes.
Okay. So next, what I wanted to cover is I wanted to show you some use cases of AI, right? I mean, how just a couple of use cases of how AI is used in real world. So today, what happens if you have a factory with a lot of machinery, right? A lot of equipment is there. How does maintenance happen in the absence of AI? It is typically a scheduled maintenance or after something has gone wrong, after the machine has broken down, right? So either you have like monthly checkups, like you have for example, you have a construction site where a crane is being used to take up material. So either there will be like a monthly check, okay, is everything okay? Like how you do your car servicing once in 6 months or so, right? So it's like either a scheduled maintenance. So when will you maintain your car? Either after it has broken down, something happened, you're driving and it stopped suddenly, or it's giving out some smoke, and then you know that okay, you have to get it repaired, or the maintenance typically happens at a scheduled time, once in 6 months or once in a year, right? But with AI, it doesn't have to necessarily be a schedule based one, because it's inefficient. If it is perfectly okay, even then you're spending money to get the maintenance done, whereas it is um, not okay because I mean, the second problem with that approach is because, when there is a problem also, you do not realize because your schedule has, you are saying, okay, I'll get it done on 1st of Jan and 1st of July, and you are in April today, and your car may break down anytime. You don't know, right? But with AI, what happens is you can use AI to continuously take feed, probably. I mean, there are various ways to achieve it, but one way could be to continuously uh, take data from the machines, keep feeding it into the model, right? So that the model will try to read the data and make a prediction or identify if there is any anomaly. That data could be in the form of images or in the form of some parameters. Like taking the example of the car, maybe tire pressure, what is the pressure in each of the four tires, or engine oil level, uh, whatever are the other things. I mean, all of this data can keep going automatically, and then it will keep on reviewing and then see, okay, something doesn't look right. The tire pressure was low on the left front tire. It was refilled. I mean, maybe a few days ago it was like that. Again, the same situation occurred, so it knows that something is going wrong. So based on either the data that is being fed into it, or it could even be images, right? It'll keep looking at the images, and it can even probably identify, hey, AI can whereas a normal person would not notice because it's not scheduled maintenance time. I'm supposed to look at it once a month. Why will I keep on closely looking if there is a crack somewhere, right? Whereas AI, it doesn't have to be scheduled. It can be real time. It can continuously keep monitoring the equipment and find a fault and report, create an alert. And this is very popular use case. We do a lot of predictive maintenance use cases for our clients. It can either be sensor data, like I said, some data points in terms of values. It could also be images, videos, etc. that can feed into the model, and it can detect that something is not looking okay and create an alert, which will trigger a maintenance check, or it'll, whoever is looking at the alert can take a look at it and fix it. Another very popular use case again is software development. I don't know if you all have come across applications like uh, GitHub Copilot, or there was one interesting one, lovable.ai. If you just go to lovable.ai, you write a prompt, create an application, just write in English what you want, and it will generate the entire application for you, including the source code, everything, the code repository with all the different files that are required, a configuration file, a README file, everything else that is required. Right. So again, a very popular use case. Today, most of our developers go to ChatGPT, they prompt and they take the code and copy paste into their application. But beyond that, AI can be used to in different phases of software development. Again, here I can give you an interesting example that we are doing for a telecom client in Oman, right? So when the business team gives a requirement, like, okay, we want to build an IT system which does so and so, an AI agent reads that requirement, reads that line of text, it creates a requirement specification document, it creates the test cases, it creates the code, it assigns review tasks to humans, and so on. So everything is getting automated using AI today. So the entire software development life cycle at various stages and major parts of the software development life cycle today, it is possible to automate through AI. But then again, caution, it will write code based on the input that is given, right? It will write plausible code, code that will work, that doesn't have syntax errors, etc. But code review still has to be done by a human. Okay. I think I briefly spoke about this on one of our previous slides. Bias, explainability, security. So today, when we meet our customers and we speak about AI, nobody questions, is it even possible to automate? Everybody knows it is possible to automate. They've seen because there are things like ChatGPT every day, right? And um, everybody, even if you do a Google search today, it has an AI mode which gives you brilliant answers. So nobody can question that, is it possible to automate? If many of you, if you all are, if you all have bank accounts, you know that a lot of things, even several banks have implemented a lot of AI, and many things are possible to automate. The question that clients come back to us and ask is, how secure is my data? If an AI application is built and it is using my data, how do I know that my data is secure? That it is not using that data or passing it? Because AI to everybody is like a black box. You give an input, it gives an output. What is happening inside? Very few people understand, right? Only the engineers, AI engineers might understand. The users of AI, it's a big black box. Now, the big question comes is, what's happening inside that black box? Is my data sent elsewhere also? How do I know that my data is secure? Or how do I know that I'm giving an input, I'm getting an output, but how do I know that the output is correct? You know, how can I even explain that output? Or how do I know it is not biased? And the question of bias comes because of the data that is fed into the model for training the model. If the data has skewed uh, features, then the output also will come out skewed. So there are some examples about this, right? Like, for example, if you are using a image generation tool, right? I think on Facebook also you can use Meta AI or something to generate some images. If you ask it to generate the image of executive secretary, most probably it will generate an image of a woman, right? Whereas if you ask it to generate a image of an attorney, it might generate an image of a male person, and so on. And why does it happen? Because the data that it has been trained on has mostly been like that. Its understanding of a secretary and the image of what a secretary should look like is coming from the training data that it is trained on. And because the training data is skewed, it gets, I mean, is biased, because that's the majority of data that has gone as input. The output also reflects it. And then there are ways to ensure that whatever we build is not biased. Whatever we build is explainable and is secure. Yeah, so like we say, AI generates, Gen AI, as you know today, it can generate text, it can generate video, audio, music, code, right? All of these can be generated today using Gen AI. Uh, but yeah, we need a human to verify to ensure that whatever we have generated is safe and ethical. Okay, any questions or thoughts on this point? Any other such examples of bias you have come across? I'm sure you all have some ideas in your mind, but you all are very shy to pick up the mic.
Most of the students are first year and second year audience today because of the mid examinations for third year and final year.
Yeah,
So now all the audience are first year and the second year students, ma'am.
yeah. But as users of AI, I'm sure first year students, all of them must be having phones, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All of you must be using AI. You must be, and if you notice, you will, next time you try it, okay? Anytime you are trying out something in AI, try to recognize if the AI is giving you a biased output, okay? Now that you've heard of the concept of bias, right? Sorry. Okay, just moving on. For careers in AI, even today, what are the common roles that we have? We have the data scientist. What does the data scientist do? And what skills do they have usually? They understand statistics, they understand probability kind of stuff, right? They are they will be able to look at the data, analyze the data, and extract some insights or some intelligence out of that data. So data scientists typically know how to work with data, how to find um, what we call as outliers. Like, for example, the if you have a big list of data that has prices of cars, okay, everything is in lakhs, and suddenly you have a figure which is in thousands. So data scientists will recognize that something is wrong here, right? Because they are able to look at patterns in data. A car can't be costing in thousands. I mean, cannot be less than a lakh. Everywhere else, the data is in lakhs, but here it is in thousands. Something is wrong. Maybe I need to remove this row. I shouldn't give it to the AI model for training, because otherwise AI model will learn incorrectly, right? What does an ML engineer do? They follow the entire engineering life cycle. They the model that is built, they build the model, they deploy the model, and what we call as operate, right? ML ops, machine learning operations. They operate the model in the production environment. Domain experts, these are really rare to find and very critical. So these are people who understand a specific industry well, right? And this is a new role, more and more popular nowadays, is the AI ethicist, to ensure that the AI is ethical, free of bias, it is safe to use. So these are the top concerns that the AI ethicist will. Etc. I'm audible, right? I thought I heard a network glitch. My voice is okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, okay. Yeah. Okay. Um, okay. I'll just skip this. Here we are speaking about having both the technical skills as well as the soft skills. So typically, anybody working in AI will need to first know the business problem. What is it that we are trying to solve, and then work backwards from there. Backwards from there. Right. Today, what do I want to do? I want to automate my customer service completely. So what do I need to do for that? So from there, you need to work backwards. So um, you have to understand the business problem and then work backwards to break the problem down into um, technical details, right? Into data level, like a data question. What data do I need to serve the customers? What information do I need? And how do I go about it? So it's both the technical and the soft skills which are important and which make a good engineer. Okay, in terms of content, that's all I had. Were there any other topics you all are interested in knowing about? Can somebody briefly tell me what is agentic AI? Have you heard of the word agentic AI? No one has heard. Have you all heard the word generative AI?
Actually, ma'am, we are about to ask about agent AI, and we want to know something about agent AI and how it is different from ChatGPT.
Okay, okay. So, before the era of Gen AI came in, typically AI had broadly two types of tasks that it would do. One is to classify. Okay, when I say classify, a classification problem like is this news article an education article or a politics article or a business article? That's a classification problem. The second problem that AI used to solve is prediction. This year I have sold 8 million worth of goods. Next year, how much will I sell? Or which products will sell more, which products will not sell more, right? It's a prediction problem. So earlier, AI used to solve typically these two problems, a classification problem and a prediction problem. And for solving both of them, you have to train it with historical data, with lots of data. Okay, you have to tell it what are the important parameters. For example, for the sales prediction, how many copies of this book will sell next year, right? So how do I know how many copies did it sell last year and were there seasonal fluctuations, beginning of the academic year, more books sell and so on. So you have to give it lots of data and based on the data that the model will learn and will be able to predict. This was all traditional AI. Coming to generative AI is a field that can generate new content. We are not talking about classifying or predicting. We are talking about generating new content. It can generate new text, it can generate new images, music. You can say, okay, can you generate music in the style of A.R. Rahman and the clip has to be like 1.5 minute long. It will generate new music. Huh? It will not copy exactly from A.R. Rahman. It'll it'll learn the style of A.R. Rahman from all of A.R. Rahman's music, right? It'll learn the style and the kind of instruments that are used, whether the songs are typically fast or slow and things like that, and it'll generate new piece of music. So that's what generative AI is all about. Now we are talking about agentic AI. So when we are saying agentic AI, what's different is that it is basically automating an entire business process. For example, if you need to conduct a seminar, right? What are the activities that Jaya ma'am had to do? She had to, first of all, finalize and get an approval on the topic. Next, she had to identify speakers. Next, she has to take care of logistics such as venue, etc. She has to publish a schedule. She has to take care of when you're publishing the schedule, it has to align with the audience and the speaker and everybody. So there could be multiple things that are required for organizing a seminar. Now, today, if you have an agentic AI workflow, if you give it a goal, hey, your goal is to organize a seminar. Now, what it will do, it will go back and think, okay, to organize a seminar, what do I need to do? Step one, step two, like I mentioned, right? Find a venue, take care of logistics, identify the topic, identify the speakers for the topic, etc. So it will make all those different steps and it will assign those steps to individual AI agents. So each AI agent will do one task. One AI agent will identify topic. How will it identify topic? It will go and research in the internet. right? What are the hot trending topics today? What are relevant, for the government of India's initiative, and so on. It'll do some research on its own, and then it'll come back and finalize the topic. Next, agent, you will say, go identify speakers. Now, how will it again identify speakers? It'll know, okay, this is the topic. For this topic, who are the experts in the industry, what are their contact details, etc. Right? Whatever human does, today it is possible for AI agents to do the same thing. So when AI agents come together and solve an entire business process, we call that an agentic AI workflow. Okay. And agentic AI is mostly based on generative AI only. So chat GPT specifically, if you ask me, it is it is like a generative AI assistant, right? You ask a question, it gives an answer. It doesn't do an entire workflow automation for you. It doesn't do automate a full process for you. You ask one question, it will give you one response. So it is classified as an assistant. Okay. So ChatGPT is an application. In the backend, it uses a large language model called GPT. What does GPT stand for? It's coming up in the quiz in the next slide. I'll ask you. Is that clear? Have I answered your question? So ChatGPT is an application that is based on generative AI. Generative AI is a technology that helps us to generate new content. ChatGPT typically generates new text, right? Content. And then agentic AI is like a workflow. It's like a combination of multiple AI agents working together to automate an entire business process. And most of the time, these AI agents also will require generative AI technology because first they need to understand what needs to be done. And to be able to understand and process the language input, they need to be based on generative AI. Is that okay? Any questions? Was I able to answer your question?
Ma'am, is there any skill that can't be replaced by AI?
I would say no skill can be fully replaced by AI, okay? No skill can be fully replaced by AI. What can happen is a person who knows how to use AI will replace another person who doesn't know how to use AI. If I am a software developer and I don't know how to use AI to write code, okay, I will surely get replaced by another person who knows how to write code using AI. Okay, so learning to use AI for your work is the most important skill that you all need to learn, and this applies to every field, right? Uh, if there's a doctor who doesn't know how to use AI, he may slowly become less competent than another doctor. This person knows how to use AI in their work, right? You should be aware of the latest AI developments in your own field. It could be any field. It could be even in the construction business, in architecting, in teaching, in hospitality, like hotels, etc. Everywhere. So knowing to use AI, knowing what is the use of AI in your own industry, and knowing to use AI is important. I do not think we are at a stage today, even with so much of technological development. Like I told you, Lovable.ai, you give a prompt and it will generate an application. Is that application ready to be put in production? Maybe not, right? That application needs to interact with other applications to get some data, valuable data, which makes some sense, right? Which will help the organization in some way. So, yeah, today I would say we are not in a state that AI will replace a role fully. But if you don't know how to use AI in your role, yeah, then there is trouble. Okay, so my daughter is in 10th. So she also was asking me questions, what career should I choose that it is safe? Where she doesn't want to uh, become a software engineer. Any other questions? Okay, now my question. What does GPT in ChatGPT stand for? Is it graph processing technique? Is it general processing tool? Is it generative pre-trained transformer? Or is it general purpose technology? I could not hear. Somebody answered?
Generative pre-trained transformer, ma'am.
Correct. Yeah, that's the right answer. So, like I said, it is based on generative AI and GPT. That's the name given to the model which has been trained on huge amounts of data. I told you, right? So, the name of the model is generative pre-trained transformer. Okay, which of these came first? Alexa, Siri, Google Assistant, Cortana? Actually, Siri came first. Okay. So, which of these was one of the earliest uses of AI? What do you think came first? Self-driving cars, face recognition, virtual assistants. Virtual assistants are basically chatbots and spam email filters.
Face recognition.
Came first. Face recognition requires deep learning as a technology. Okay, because with multiple, like whether it is yeah, like it is similar to that computer vision example that I was giving you, right? You show so many images of a particular tree that next time the computer knows it's a tree that you're showing, right? If I give this picture to a computer, it knows certain air conditioning units are there on the wall. There's a table or whatever, right? So it that is based on the technology which is deep learning, which came much later. One of the first use cases of AI literally is a spam email filter, because it's just a binary classification. You know the meaning of the word binary, right? Has only two values, 0, 1. Is it spam? Is it not spam? Okay, so you train it with a lot of emails, give it information which emails are spam, which emails are not spam. It'll go through them, learn from them, and next time when a new email comes, it is able to classify it as spam or not spam. Okay, that was one of the very first applications of AI. Okay, which movie popularized the idea of thinking machines even before AI existed? Machines that can think. Any? Have you all seen these movies? Terminator, Iron Man, Inception, Matrix. Any guesses? Anyone can take a guess. It's like Kaun Banega Crorepati, right? You have to make a guess for us to show the answer.
Inception, madam.
Actually, it's Terminator. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, this is the last question that I have. So, which factor most affects how smart an AI appears to users? Right? Like sometimes you use one chatbot of some bank website, another time you use something else. Or like for example, you're using ChatGPT, you're also using Google's AI mode. Somebody is using Microsoft Copilot, and then you say, "Hey, ChatGPT." Like if three people are using three different AI assistants, Gen AI applications, and one of you think like you think that one is better than the other. What affects how smart an AI appears to the people who are using it? What do you think makes a big difference? Is it the size of the model, speed of the response? Actually, all I would say, at least multiple, but which one is most important?
Speed, ma'am. Speed of response, ma'am.
So if something is answering faster,
Quality of prompt, ma'am.
yeah, that is correct actually. Quality of prompt. So what you give, there's a concept that is like, I mean, how well you are able to give a prompt to the, application, and that itself is a field, right? It's a role that we have in our company also. It's called a prompt engineer, right? Prompt engineer knows how to form a prompt. Like you start with a verb, you tell ChatGPT, summarize this piece of text for me, or generate an email, uh, asking for sick leave or whatever. So, how do you structure the prompt and what level of details do you give makes a lot of difference in the output that you're getting from Gen AI, especially from large language models. Okay, of course, model size matters. Yeah, the more number of parameters it is trained on, the better it knows. Programming language, I don't know if it how much. I mean, we may be able to achieve with multiple languages. Speed of response is really speed, not really accurate. I mean, if you're talking about smart being, how correct the AI is giving the response, I would even think model size impacts, but more importantly, the quality of prompt. So it's up to the user how well they're able to use the AI. Okay, that's all I had. In case you have any questions or um, anything to discuss, let me know. How many of you want to, pursue a career in software industry? Maybe you can raise your hands. How many of you think that in your fourth year you want to get placed in an IT company? You all are looking at each other.
Ma'am, can we know the difference between data analytics and data science?
Yeah. So data science is basically applying science on data. Like when I say analytics is a broad subject, I would think data analytics encompasses data science. When I say data analytics, I'm doing everything like all the way from getting data from a particular source, cleaning the data. When I'm talking about cleaning data, what am I cleaning? I'm removing duplicates, I'm correcting the format of data, like all date formats should appear in the same format. um, I'm looking at missing values. If some values are missing, I'm putting in the values. And then I'm bringing all the data into a place and then doing some kind of analytics on top of that. What analytics I do on top of that? It could be anything. I could just build a bar chart, right? I could build a pie chart or some visualization on top of it. I could also use so data science is more scientific, right? Now using data science, what will I do? I will look at the data. I will see if is the data skewed? Are there outliers? Like some kind of exploratory data analysis we call it. We start with that, and then we try to see is the data following a specific structure, right? Like a sine curve or something like that. How is the data? How is the data overall structured? And then what is then you apply some statistics on top of it, right? What is the mean value? What are the extreme data values and how far away they are from the mean value? All of this could so this kind of analysis can come as part of data science when you're applying some kind of science or statistics on top of data. It could even be using some algorithms like training a machine learning model also, right? But when I say data analytics is just broad. I'm analyzing data, that's it. It could be everything: cleaning data, filling in data, bringing all the data into a data lake, doing some visualization on top of the data, doing data science on top of data. So data science, I would say, is a subset of data analytics. What else? So what is one thing that you found interesting about this session? What was something that you didn't know and you learned?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, our industry looking for prompt engineers still? Like, is it a trend, or they do we have to master some other skills also apart from prompt engineering for looking, getting picked?
Uh, see, the most let me open that slide again. Um, let me open that slide again. One second. This one. Okay. If you ask me what is the most important skill that you need to learn, I would say it is Python and SQL. It is really foundational for any IT job that you are looking at today, right? I mean, if you know Python and SQL, you are half sorted. Okay. Prompt engineering. So let me tell you a little more about that. So when you use ChatGPT, right? Like when I open ChatGPT today and I type a question. So what am I doing? I am an end user of ChatGPT, right? So I'm saying something. So do you think the GPT model, like I told you, ChatGPT is an application which is using GPT model, and GPT model is a transformer model. We spoke about that, right? So whatever input that you are giving on the screen on ChatGPT, do you think the same input is going to GPT model? No. Okay. So the ChatGPT application, what it does is it will take whatever you have typed, okay, and it'll add some context to it, or it'll remove some unnecessary parts from it. It'll do something on top of it and send the required part to the GPT model. Like I'm using ChatGPT, I've asked one question, it gave me some answer. Then I asked, okay, can you make the answer shorter? Now, can you make the answer shorter? Can it just give that line to GPT model again? No, GPT model won't know what you mean, because along with the part of make it shorter, I have to give the context of what happened before. So prompt engineering is all about that. How to structure the prompt which goes as an input to the model, which will eventually give the response. So prompt engineer is a more of a business skill. I mean, it's like a combination of business and technology skill. Why is it a business skill? Because a business analyst will understand the functionality of the application better, and based on the functionality, you will have to structure the prompts. Like for example, I'm using it in the field of what example can I take? Okay, I'm using it like, for example, we have a power distribution company. We have done a AI project for them. So in the power distribution company, if I'm using an AI application and I have to give a prompt, I have to use certain, so whatever is the input that is coming from the user, I have to structure it in some way. So every input I can't sit and manually structure it. So I have to write some code which will kind of take the input from the user, add some additional details based on who the user is. If the user is MD of the power distribution company, if the user is somebody who provides the meter which will calculate, which will keep a record of how many units of power you have consumed and so on. So depending on the user, some detail has to go. So all of that context will get added and go as input into the GPT model. Okay, so prompt engineer is a skill. It is good to have, but it's a logical skill. It's not a very technical skill. Slightly technical, but not very technical. So you need to go a little beyond prompt engineering is what I would think. And like I said, Python and SQL are your starting points. You start with Python SQL. Once you have mastered these two, SQL, why? Because like I said, every problem is a data problem. First, you need to understand the data well. You need to know how to work with data. So SQL is very important. Once you have mastered Python and SQL, next thing, if you're interested in a career in AI, is to understand deep learning. So learn one of the deep learning frameworks. You can start with PyTorch, and then learn some cloud skills. Okay, this is the path I would take. Python SQL, absolute basic. Then probably some other frameworks such as deep learning and some orchestration agentic AI frameworks such as LangChain. And then to try them out, you need to then go into cloud skills. You can be comfortable either with Azure or AWS or something like that. So then you are like fully covered. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the guidance.
What else? Any other questions?
Any questions? Any other questions? No? Ma'am, now it's time for vote of thanks. I request. Please convey the vote of thanks to our distinguished guest, Swetha ma'am.
I sincerely thank our distinguished guest, Ms. Swetha Srivastava, for delivering an insightful session on AI for threat and vulnerability and resilience in cybersecurity. Ma'am, your explanation of how AI enhances cybersecurity and strengthens digital resilience was truly informative and inspiring for us as engineering students. I extend my gratitude to our principal and college management for supporting such industry-oriented learning initiatives, and to our Dean, HODs, and faculty members for their guidance in organizing this seminar. My sincere thanks to the organizing team and volunteers for their efforts, and to all the students for their active participation. With this, I conclude the word of thanks. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I know we didn't go a lot into threat and vulnerability. We use a lot of AI today, even in Inspira, in delivering cybersecurity to ensuring, that cybersecurity, whether it is identity and access management, cybersecurity, resiliency, all of these are delivered through AI. But I did not go into those topics in detail because of two reasons. One, considering your background of AI, I thought we keep it generic and speak more about AI. And second is, I think you would have had a session earlier today speaking about threat and vulnerability management by Subhash sir. Yeah, but if there are any more questions also, I'm happy to answer on the topic of cybersecurity. Hmm, sorry. Okay. Jaya ma'am.
Yes, do you have any questions on AI, data analytics, and AI? Ma'am, today's theme is AI for threat and vulnerability
Yeah,
management. Yeah, that is a theme of this India AI Summit, ma'am.
yeah,
So thank you, ma'am, for enlightening all the students with the basics, how, what is the AI, and the interaction sessions with the students by asking questions in quiz form is very informative and interesting sessions. Thank you so much, ma'am, for enlightening the students with the basic fundamental knowledge about AI.
yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. It's my pleasure. Nice interacting with all of you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you once again.
All right. Thank you all. Bye.